Good afternoon, everyone. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is time for the 1954 bank wrapped roll, or it's actually just an original machine wrapped roll. Hey, Tim. Yeah, I did. It was a 1955S roll. Did it 2 hours ago. Started at noon Eastern. All right. Let's make sure I move over to live chat. Everybody make sure you're on live chat. And wait for everybody to show up. I forgot to send that email. I meant to send the email. Didn't happen to get an email out, so hopefully everyone finds the stream. Make sure that they know that I'm on broadcast. Hey, Joe. Yo, man. Okay. So this is a 1954 plain roll. 1954 plain is not easy to find. Usually very spotty. Simply because of the planchet wash that they used in 1954 at the Philadelphia Mint. Actually, it was used probably from about 1946 on through 1954-55. Then by 56, they found a way to change that issue. Not exactly sure what they did to change the issue, but it doesn't appear that the problem extends beyond 1955. But it is definitely running through 1954. So we may find some pretty spotty coins in here. But one thing that kind of made me a little happy, I guess, last week or it was actually 2 or 3 weeks ago, when I got a shipment of 1954 plain rolls in. I opened one of them and discovered a few new minor double dies. It seems that they are very understudied because they are, well, considered to be non-variety or very low-end variety coins with an expensive roll price. So far, Kaneka only has 2 double die obverses listed. They're both eyelids, and no double die reverses listed except for proof coins. So we're going to go through here and see if we can find anything new. Who knows? It might just happen. So there's our roll. Here's a little cardboard end cap that came off one end of the roll. And we have ourselves a pretty decent looking roll of 1954 plain Lincoln cents. Now, if any of these should happen to grade pretty high, 65 red, 66 red, or a 67 red are actually really nice coins to have graded. 65 red will come back probably a $30 coin. 66 red is $200 or $300, and then a 67 red would be well over $1,000. We'll just put it that way. So our first coin here is going to go out to Farm Dog. Let's see what Farm Dog gets. Got 7 questions during the last broadcast that I'm going to work on trying to answer during this broadcast. I want to see a few more people come in first, though. What I'm looking at is the area on the top of the 4 of the date. I'm looking for anything around the eyelid. Unfortunately, this is the roll end coin, so it is a little gunky. Then I'm looking around Liberty for the possibility of anything there. Then I'm going to flip over and take a look at the reverse. The reverse should be much cleaner than the obverse because it was not facing the open air. It is much cleaner, but this suffers from the same thing that most 1954 plain Lincoln cents do, is a very late die state die. So even if there were anything minor doubled there, we wouldn't be able to see it. Can't pick it up on a die this late in age. All right, there's that. And we move on to coin number 2. Unfortunately, that was a bummer. Let's move on to the next one. See what Doug Reese gets. I have what looks a little bit like a Woody here. That's a very interesting die gouge. It's a very deep, very heavy die gouge. It's interesting. I'm looking for doubling on the bottom of the letters of Liberty, on the tops of the letters of Liberty. There are other double dies known from this era that show up in those areas. Why not 1954, right? So let's just keep plowing along and see what we can see if we find anything. Very late die state reverse again, unfortunately. Wow. Yeah, these turn out as nice as I even wanted them to. Let's see, coin number 3 now. Hey, the first question that I got from Joe is, why does Lincoln face right and all the other presidents face left? It's a good question, Joe. I'm not sure I really have the answer to that. My best recollection is that facing right shows a certain amount of honor, and the long tradition of showing the other presidents facing left was basically a depiction as history would have it. So generally facing left was the time tradition honored way of doing it. Now, putting Lincoln facing right could be an homage to his what am I trying to say? There's a word, and I'm missing that word right now. Where he was shot and killed on purpose. Assassination. Thank you. Or it could be an homage to his assassination. The fact that he is the only president shown on regular pocket change coins who was assassinated, other than Kennedy. Now, Kennedy came a lot later on, and his portrait did not face that direction. So it's really a good question. I don't think I have a good answer for it. If anybody else does, if that was a stump the curmudgeon question, then go ahead and give the right answer, because I don't know for sure what the right answer to that would be. I was looking for anything that might show up as good doubling on this 1954 cent here. It doesn't look like we ran into a rule that's going to be very helpful to us. Not unless the condition of these coins change in a quick hurry. That's kind of unlikely inside of a bankroll. All right, now coin number 5. Oh, so there's a little brighter red. It is a little cleaner looking, so we may actually be getting into something good. Check for doubled eyelids to be sure I'm looking right where I need to be looking on all these coins. The next question I was asked came from Adam Connor. He wants to know what my favorite coin find was. Well, my favorite coin find came from a coin shop in central Germany. It was actually not a coin shop, it was an antique shop. It was an antique store. That could very well be, Joe. They wanted to capture that side of the face. And I walked into this coin shop, it wasn't a coin shop. I'm sorry, it was an antique store. It had antique stuff, antique furniture, antique other things. I went there not necessarily expecting to find anything. I was with my first wife. We were going to a zoo, I believe, that day. And so we drove past this place, and I said, hey, let's stop there. Let's go inside and take a look around. So it was in central Germany. The store owner did not speak English. I didn't speak a whole lot of German. But we went in, and I asked the guy in German if he had any coins for sale. And as a matter of fact, he did. So he pulled out this cabinet, this old black cabinet with slide tray drawers in it. Set it down and pulled a slide tray out. And it had some Maria Theresa thalers and some older German silver coins, some with Prussian on them, and it was nice, but not really interesting to me. I mean, there was something with Ludwig on it and other things like that. They were pretty nice looking coins. So I didn't really even ask the prices. I just asked him, did he have any American coins? So he put that drawer back, pulled another drawer out, set it in front of me, and lo and behold, I was looking at something I never really had seen before and didn't exactly know what it was and could not appreciate the magnanimity of what I was seeing. But the entire drawer was full. All the slots in the drawer were full of full detail Colonial coins. There were Colonial coppers. So you had the New Jersey copper, you had the Connecticut copper, the Vermont copper, the New York, it had all the different ones. A couple of King George III coins that had been used in the United States, or what was to be the United States. And I was looking through these coins. I knew I had seen pictures of some of them somewhere, but wasn't really exactly sure what they were. I was just a kid. I didn't really get it. I was only 22 years old at the time. Just really kind of getting involved in doing anything more than Lincoln cents. And so I picked out one coin that I knew I had seen before. I flipped it over and I took a look at the reverse. And it looked exactly as I had expected it to look. And this coin was nice. It's in about the same condition as the coin you're looking at right now. And so I asked the guy how much he wanted for it, and it was the equivalent of about $300 US. So I looked at my spouse at the time and told her I think it was worth more than that in America. So we went downtown and she used her passbook to get money out of the bank. And we went back and purchased the coin from the guy. And I had it with me when she stopped at a store to get some shoes, I believe. Shoes or a shirt. I can't remember what it was. But she went inside and I stayed in the car. And I had the sun beaming in through the window from behind me. It was late in the afternoon. It was probably 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was winter, or early spring anyway. And the sun was popping in behind my shoulder. And I was looking at the luster on this coin. And it was really nice luster. I mean, the luster was cartwheeling around the coin. And I thought, man, that's got to be kind of unusual for one of these. But it's a very nice coin. I really like it. So I took it home and started doing some research on it. And I found that the coin that I thought it was is pretty much what it was. I didn't really know very well how to read the red book and figure out what the condition of the coin was from the red book, or how much it was worth based on the condition. So I sent off a couple of letters and just held on to it for a while. And those couple of letters went to some of the auction houses. And I got a reply by telephone because I gave them my phone number. And they called me and I ended up submitting the coin. And, well, it ended up selling. Now the rest of the story. This coin is probably one of the rarest coins I've ever handled in my entire life. And the only reason I really recognize it is because this coin said 1 cent on the back of it, enclosed within a wreath of oak leaves. And on the front, it had a picture of Lady Liberty with a cap. And down below the bust, it said 1794. I had purchased a 1794 large cent in uncirculated condition for $300. So, I held on to this coin until Bowers and Ruddy returned my phone call, or actually returned my note with a phone call, inquiring more about the coin. And there was a particular person with whom I spoke. I cannot now remember the name. He asked me if the reverse had a specific die crack on it, and I said, well, it appears to. And he asked me if the date on the obverse, exactly where the digits were pointed. And I worked with him on figuring out which Sheldon number this coin was. It was a 1794 Liberty Large Cap. I believe it was S24. He said those weren't rare, but they weren't common either. But in the reported condition, he asked me if the coin had been cleaned, and I said I don't think so. And I sent him the coin into Bowers and Ruddy. And in about 3 or 4 weeks, I received a check in the mail from Bowers and Ruddy for $1,800. They had sold my coin, given me the rest of the juice on the coin at $1,800, and I'd purchased it for $300. I think I did pretty well. Well, little did I know at that time that by the condition of the coin and by the appearance of everything on the coin, that coin was going to turn out being close to a $100,000 coin as we sit now. But I bought it for $300 and sold it for $1,800. I guess for a kid, that's pretty good money. So that's my biggest coin find ever, or my favorite coin find ever, because I still remember that 1794 large cent in my head. Now, I was also asked what my largest regret, my biggest regret in coins was. That was by Adam Connor as well. And it turns out that that biggest regret in coins is also that 1794 large cent. I wish I'd kept it. Because to tell that story now, some people may not even believe that I had a 1794 large cent and uncirculated, but I do know, after all the years that I've spent with coins at this point, I do remember exactly what that coin looked like, and I do know that it was an uncirculated 1794 large cent. Probably one of the toughest things I've ever given up in life. And really wished I had it back, but hey, it is what it is. Long since history now. But I won't try to cheat by giving you that same story for 2 questions, so I'll come up with another regret that I had in coins. One of the other big regrets that I had in coins is that I started out in coins in 1975 when I was just a little kid. And I stayed pretty active in collecting coins, basically as a kid would collect coins, up until about 1982 or 83. 84, I found out about double dies and bought John Wexler's new book on the Lincoln Cent double die. And I started going through this book, looking through the coins that I had and looking through other coins, and I started doing pocket change digs, looking through pocket change for specific double dies as listed in his book. Never found one. I did find that my 1939 Jefferson nickel had a double die reverse, and this double die reverse was the really strong one that shows in the word Monticello. Had no idea it existed prior to actually finding it in the Red Book and looking it up in my collection to see if I actually had one, and I did. Still had no idea that it was one single die that produced all of them, and that they were rather scarce. But the regret that I had was about 1985-86, I got more interested in graduating high school and being a cool kid and hanging out with the big guys and all that kind of stuff. I got so enthralled and interested in doing such things that I basically put the coins down altogether. I do believe this is a minor double die right here. Take a better look at it. And yes, it is a minor double die right on the top of the 4. That little spot right on the top of the 4 there. That is a minor double die. Let's see if it carries through to the T of trust. It may. And it does not. Doesn't carry through to trust. We'll see if it carries through to liberty. Look at the bottom of the L on liberty and see if it carries through to over there, and it does not appear to. So I do have what appears to be a minor double die obverse right there on the 4. This will be the first coin with that in this roll that I've seen. Anyway, to continue my story, I basically put coins down 1985, 86, and I didn't pick them up again until about 1995 when I heard about a double die. Wanted to go find one of them, so I started getting rolls of coins and realized that, well, this was 1996 when I heard about it. So 1986 to 1996, I basically went cold without coins, had them packed up in a box somewhere in the attic, and just didn't do much of anything with them. I now wish, with the career that I have and with the information that I know about the coins in the mid-1980s, I wish I had been much more proactive in storing roll after roll after roll of the mid-80s coins. It doesn't affect me too harshly, but it is a big regret that I had that I put those down for so many years and did nothing with them. So as the year I graduated high school, 1986, goes by, I realize over time that rolls of coins from 1986 are actually kind of scarce. Not very easy to find, worth a little bit of money. And I could have had them by the box back in 86 because 85 and 86, basically the only thing I did was go around to banks pulling out $50 so I could cash the silver in to the local coin dealers for gas money to take my girlfriend out. That was basically all I did with that. I didn't see silver as being a commodity that would be worth any extra money any day. It was just worth more money than I was paying for it today. And that's all I cared. I remember actually being able to take my girlfriend out on dinner one time with the money that I reaped from the resale of $50 rolls. I went to the First Tennessee Bank on Summer Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee, near Perkins. I don't even know if it still exists. I went in there and I asked a lady for $50. And she said, "How many do you need?" And I said, "Well, how many do you have?" And she said, "I've got 6 rolls here. That's $60. And I said, I don't even have $60. I tell you what, if I go through the first 3 rolls, $30, and don't find anything that I want in them, can I give them back to you and you can trade for the other ones? She said, "Yeah, sure." This was back in a day when roll hunting for silver wasn't really all that common yet. So I go through the first 3 rolls. I pull them open right there at the little counter where you sign your checks and get your little forms and all that kind of stuff. The one with the little woodblock calendar sitting on it. Well, I was sitting over there, or standing over there, and went through my 3 rolls, and the first roll was a dud. It was all bicentennials. Second roll, half of it was 40% silver. And the third roll, almost all of that roll was 90% silver, Franklin's and Kennedy's. So I pulled out all the coins that I could keep out of that, and I went back and I traded her in the rest of what was left of my $30 to get other rolls, and I did. When I walked out of the bank, almost every coin that I had was a silver coin, either 40% or 90%. I even traded back some of the 40% because I got so many 90%. Couldn't afford to keep them because I didn't have the money. $30 was quite a haul back in 1986, actually, for a teenager. So I went to the coin shop at Perkins and Knight Arnold, in case anybody is familiar with Memphis. It was on the northeast corner of Perkins and Knight Arnold. It was an old man, ran a shop. See you around, Jess. And I cashed my silver in. I think I got $70 or $80 for my silver. Now, a smart guy probably would have taken that money straight back over to the bank and traded it in for the rest of the rolls so he could make even more money, but like I said, I was a kid. I was only about 17 years old at the time. Here's another one of those with that really strong divot in the die right there. But yeah, I took that money. I took my girlfriend to go eat dinner. Bought a tank of gas. You know, had a couple extra $20 bills in my pocket for the first time ever. That was interesting, fun. But that's all I did during those years was, you know, basically just scarf silver for money. I didn't collect any pennies. I didn't collect any rolls. I wasn't buying boxes or anything like that at that point in time. I didn't really start that back up until about 2006. And that's when I really kind of started that up. Well, from 1986 to 2006, a lot can happen. And it certainly did. So the next question I had was from Sureg. I don't know if he's around right now, but nobody's actually saying anything in the chat, probably because everyone's listening. But if Sureg's around, here's the answer to your question. Your question was, do I ever plan on doing a reprint on my book? Assuming you're talking about looking through Lincoln Cents, probably not. I might, but I'm thinking no. And the reason for that is because the book that I have out there now was published in 2005, and it's gone quite by the wayside. There's a lot of information in it, but there's a lot of information not in it too. And the second reason is that I may end up doing a book publishing deal with someone else on a different title and won't be able to have the time to be delving through both books. So I'd rather just do the one I was working on with him. Perel, the only place that I know of where you can actually purchase my book is off Amazon. It's out of print, and it's been out of print for a couple of years, so I don't think any of the major bookstores have it. But Amazon does through some of their booksellers. People end up getting them in estate sales and whatnot, and they just put them up for sale. And the last I saw, my book was only available in used condition from a very select few different book dealers around the country for in excess of $50. So I don't know if you're going to find it at cover price anywhere or find a good deal on it, but you can check Amazon. That would be my first place to tell you to look. Now, so that was the answer to that question. In lieu of coming out with another edition of Looking Through Lincoln Cents, I may actually be working on a different book deal with someone else. And so if that be the case, then I probably won't update Looking Through Lincoln Cents. I'll move on and do the other book. Looking Through Lincoln Cents is the name of the book I wrote. Looking Through Lincoln Cents, the second edition. It's a 2005 edition. There's a restaurant there where you live in the 80s. If you had a silver dollar, they gave you a steak dinner for the coin. My friend spent a lot for the steak dinners. He kept bringing girls. Well, for a silver dollar, I'd probably spend a silver dollar on a steak dinner now. That would be interesting. What are silver dollars? Around $20, $25 or so? That's worth a steak dinner for sure. Thrift Books Online, $55. They have a waiting list. That's amazing. Well, you guys think I should probably publish another edition of the book so everybody can get it, right? My thing is the amount of time and effort that it takes to do, and then the amount of return that you get on it. It's not all that great. Especially when I'm really busy trying to provide more information online. Still looking for that other 1954 double diobverse that we found, the one with the little bump on the 4. I'm still looking for more of those. Unfortunately, this roll did turn like most 1954 rolls do. So it's about the best we're going to find a 1954 plane unless we go digging through dozens of rolls, and that's not going to happen. Not even going to find that many rolls. 200 wheat pennies for $1. 200 wheat pennies for $1. That's half of face value. That's not bad at all. There'd be no way I could ever sell 200 wheat pennies for $1. Generally, if you're going to get 200 wheat pennies from me, they're going to be almost $6. So you did a pretty good bargain there, I tell you. So let me move on to another question that I have. Sissy Atwell asked, what's my favorite year to collect? Well, because I'm a variety hunter at heart, and I still get excited even when I find the most minor of RPMs. Yeah, it's icky, Coin Dragon. They came out with a lot of that detergent stuff on them. Yep. This is how they washed the coins back in 1954, and a lot of times they came out brownish in the rolls if they weren't stored very carefully. There's one of them came out with a double die obverse, and I'm still looking for more of those because, well, it happens to be an unlisted double die obverse. Did I say obverse? I meant to say obverse. Double die obverse on the top of the 4 of the date. Still not really seeing anything here. Hello, Numistacking. The microscope that I'm using to magnify the coins is an Amscope. It is a 7.5 to 35x infinite zoom trinocular stereo microscope. They sell them for around $800. And then I'm using a dual fiber optic light guide by Scientific American. It's called an Echo Light. It's 150 watt halogen light source. Those run about $650 new. And then the camera that is shooting this footage for you is an 18 megapixel camera. Amscope sells them to go on the trinocular tube of your microscope. And this one I think goes for around $250. So nothing that I'm using is cheap, actually. $2012 DDO, very nice. Did you were you having physical withdrawals by the time you actually got rolls to go through? Because I know I've been having some withdrawals lately. But I've been using a lot of these really old rolls in my, this show actually, doing these reveals actually helps feed my need. Even though I'm not keeping any of the coins, all the coins have already been sold in the roll, I still enjoy going through them. I'm going through the reverse on all of these just to check. Because, there's no known business strike double die reverses for 1954 plain cents. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't be looking. There's only 2 double die reverses known to date that I know of. On the reverse side of 1954 plain Lincoln cents, and both of them are on proofs. I have a visitor coming up the stairs. My dog lumbers up the stairs, and he is about as covert and quiet as a bull in a china shop. He's a bulldog. What's up, Snortsville? Hey, come up to blow some snot on me? Indian heads. In my roll searches, I have found Indian heads before. In fact, I found them as early as the 1880s, but I've never found any earlier than that. I did find an 1863 Army-Navy token one time. I've also found a couple of coal script tokens that were quite scarce. West Virginia coal. Haven't found anything else. A few dimes here and there, but I don't think any of them were silver, much less mercuries. I started doing roll digging basically around 1986, so that'll tell you roughly when I started really going through rolls of coins. Actually, 96 was more like it. I was kind of busy for a number of years. I wish I hadn't been at this point. Not too busy anyway. I had this light right. The light keeps getting in my way. There we go. Found a Fanged 5 1954 S Lincoln cent. Well, that's pretty awesome. BU, huh? Nice. 1853 live token and a quarter roll. That's interesting. Kelly, no sir. I think we might have found a doubled eyelid that I can remember, but we didn't find anything else. Ran rather dry on the really nice rolls, unfortunately. So let me get to another question that I've been asked. During the past broadcast, I was asked by Sissy what my favorite year was, and I said that was 1960D, because I love RPMs, and I love going through and finding RPMs in coins. Not necessarily because of value, but just because of basically the need for speed. I just have to have RPMs once in a while. I have to be hunting through a roll. You ordered a 46S roll. How about that? I've got a 46S roll coming up. Well, it's going to be another week or so. What do I have here? Huh, boys and girls, I think I just found a double die. Maybe. What is all this stuff? Yeah, that looks like doubling to me. There's some die cracks on it, but it also looks like a double die. Turn it and light the other direction, see what happens to them. Ah, bummer. They disappeared on me. Well, I still see what looks like some doubling on the very ends of the wheat lines. Let me flip it around the other way. See what shows up then. Nope, don't see anything going this way. Yeah, the E is normal. So I was kind of thinking maybe this was one of those ones that would just show in the wheat. Let's look at the stem. Now this is probably just die cracks. Gosh. Now the stem is normal thickness. Boy, that sure had me fooled there for a second. That really looks like a double die right there. That's all little die cracks, or all little just recesses that look like doubling, but no doubling there. Yeah, we'll find something nice eventually. We just got to go through enough rolls to do it. All right, next coin. That was 26. Now 27 goes to Donamac. Get a Donamac coin out here and see what she gets. Yeah, nothing on top of the date there. Nothing in the eye. My dog's decided to go to sleep right behind me. So he's on the floor right behind my chair. Which means that you're probably going to hear him snoring before too long. He gets himself together and decides to fall asleep. He'll snore for sure. A lot of die cracks on these because they're late die state. I haven't seen an earlier die state reverse so far in this roll. And that one's for Donamac. Let's see, my next question was from Joe McBride. He asked what my favorite RPM was. That one's easy. for me, my favorite RPM is 1927D, RPM number 1. 1927D RPM number 1 is a beautiful tilted RPM. And it very, very clearly and very boldly illustrates the definition of a tilted RPM. Basically, it's one of those RPMs that you can't tell which mint mark punch is the primary, which one was punched first or second, and neither one of them are stronger than the other, so we just call it D over D tilted, because we cannot tell you which one was first or last or anything else, because exactly the same amount of each of them shows up. It's when the punch is cocked in one direction, and then they hit it, and then they cock it in the opposite direction and hit it, and you've got two Ds basically making up one D. And so that's my favorite RPM because, well, it was really the one that sort of boldly illustrated to me what a tilted RPM is. Thought we were going to find another one of those little double dies in this one, but unfortunately not. Your coworkers like to listen to me in the background. Hi, Kelly's coworkers. Your coworkers. So you work on a boat, correct? So these are boatsmen? Or do you do a different job where they listen in the background? I'll get on to my next question. Next and last question. No, I already answered all of them. Darn it, I've already answered all of them. I could tell you another story about what I do and how I'm working on things and where we're going with stuff. I have been working lately. Oh, in a control room, okay. I've been working lately on a new version of copper coins. In this new version of copper coins, I'm going to require that every image of markers have a caption that go with that image. So right now what we've got is we've got markers. Say you've got a particular die. You're gonna find a paragraph of markers for the obverse and a paragraph of markers for the reverse. And then if you've got different die states, you'll find different paragraphs for each different die state. Hello, Donna Mac. And with those different images, right now you've just got a paragraph of markers that belong to a group of images. Well, the way the website is going to change and how it's built and how it works is that every single image will have its own caption, so that you can go through the website and find markers that you're looking for. And I haven't looked at the obverse of this one yet. You're looking for markers specifically, and you can pull up one marker photo and it will show you that one marker photo along with the caption that goes with that photo. Right now that's impossible on the website that I have, and the data and how it's pulled. All of the markers are pulled out by paragraph that go with a group of photos. Well, that doesn't really help everybody. It helps some people, but not everybody. I want it to help everybody. I want it to be very obvious what we're talking about, what we're looking at, because it's important for education to actually work to educate people and not necessarily just fill the needs of the person writing the education. So you don't write a book because you want to read it. You buy it because you want other people to read it. And that's kind of where I'm working right now. So if I had, for instance, this particular coin was some sort of a die variety, then I would say something about there being a die gouge, a die dot under the G of God, because there it is, right there. Big old die dot under the G of God. Now I would have a picture of this, but my current website would have a paragraph within which would be the phrase die dot under the G of God. On the new website, this photo would have a caption, die dot under the G of God. And that way, anytime I would need to use that photo, say I had For instance, say that this could possibly be a double die obverse and double die reverse. Well, I list the dies separately because they have to be. You have to list all double die obverses and all double die reverses, which means you can't list them on the same page. So you've got a double die obverse that's paired with a double die reverse and vice versa. Well, when you pair the double die obverse with the double die reverse, you end up using the same photos over. One to show the obverse, one to show the reverse, but you're showing the opposite side of the coin anyway as part of the markers. In fact, it's a very good marker to have a double die obverse and double die reverse minted together. But because I'm using the same images over, I can also use the same captions over and not have to rewrite them. I mean, that isn't the primary reason for it, but it does make sense to be able to do that. So now, if anybody cares, I will announce to the world what I had for lunch. One particular person in here will take a personal feeling to it. I had a Southwestern vegetable soup, and I made a pan of cornbread. Made a pan of sweet cornbread that included some sourwood honey. One person in here knows exactly where that sourwood honey came from. I'm thinking about trying to figure out how that could work, Kelly. And I'm not really sure yet. I would have to use maybe some sort of a dichotomous key where you would be selecting, what's the date of your coin? What's the mint of your coin? Do you have a DDO, a DDR, or an RPM? Say it's an RPM. So is it a north, south, east, or west? Or tilted, rotated? You would answer that. And then it would come back with a list of possible RPMs using your criteria. And then you could search by, say, die crack, or by searching for BIE. There's a one with a die crack across the bottom of the B and the E of Liberty. But I haven't really quite gotten to that technology yet because that is AI that's a little beyond my programming capability. I did program all of copper coins. I went to college to learn how to do code for the web just so I could do coin websites, and copper coins was my project in school. Unfortunately, it's not been updated very well since I finished the project in 2003. Actually, I graduated 2004. So I have been for years wanting to get into actually doing a completely new version of that website. And I'm still working on the basic idea of it. And then I'm going to have someone else help me do the code and actually program it. I could probably use common terms in different areas where they would apply, like a crack under VDB or crack above VDB on the bust is a very common thing for a lot of dies. But you have to think with even common terms describing different parts of the surface of a coin, die scratches in states of America, blah, 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 blah. You're talking about a large, this one's a woody. I'm at a very large number of different terms to be searching for. Um, 46S sans serif dime. Well, I'm really not sure. I really don't know that much about them. I know there is one of the mint marks that's very rare on the 46S dimes, but I can't remember which one it was. I think it is the with serif, and that the sans serif and the ball serif are common, but I'm not sure. I don't remember. I can tell you all of the figures and facts and everything about 1946S Lincoln cents, but dimes I'm just unsure. As I'm sure Numistacking, you will find out that I am, and this channel is, more or less all about Lincoln cents. And I'm all about Lincoln cents to the extent that I'm like the KFC of Lincoln cents. You want a hamburger, go somewhere else. I have no idea how to cook them. You know what I'm saying? I just do chicken. don't even have the stove set up right to do French fries. So if you want French fries, you'll have to go to the French fry place. I'm sorry, did you want ice cream with that? You'll have to find your ice cream somewhere else. We don't do ice cream. But if you want chicken, you come here. You got the best chicken in the world. Transfer all that over to Lincoln cents versus Jefferson nickels, Washington quarters, Kennedy half dollars, Mercury dimes, Roosevelt dimes. There's another one from that same die again. See, got a marker. The old die dot below the G of God. Well, KFC can come with mashed potatoes just like my pennies can come with all my stories. So it's not that I only do the Lincoln cents. I can talk about stories and stuff. But anyhow, Donna, that sourwood honey worked really well in my pan of cornbread. I got slightly sweet corn pone now. Good old country thing. Had 1 teaspoon of honey in a pan. 1 teaspoon of honey is all it took. The brownies should probably have been cooked on a slightly lower temperature, though, because they did get a little over brown around the edges. They didn't get burned. They just turned a little more brown than a professional should be doing it. Cornbread, man, some of the best stuff in the world. All it takes is a few simple ingredients. Cornbread's really, really simple. Milk, eggs, a little bit of corn flour, and a little bit of cornmeal. Grease up your pan, mix up the ingredients. Bake it at 375 for about 15 minutes. My grandfather, when I was a little kid, my grandfather used to cook a pan of cornbread in the evening time. And he'd take that cornbread after it cooled down just a little bit, and he'd crumble it up and stick it in a big tumbler glass and pour milk over it and eat it with a spoon. I remember my grandpa doing that the entire time I was growing up. He'd eat that like other people. He'd eat a bowl of ice cream. It was just his favorite thing to do. Some parts of copper coins is coin history being documented for the first time. There is a number of different dies listed on copper coins that are not listed anywhere else. Have never been seen or discovered or known about by anyone else to my knowledge. Aha, corncob shaped cornbread. There you go. That's the way to live like you live in the country. You may or may not know it, depending on how long you've been listening to the channel, but I live in a house in a neighborhood out in the country near Smithfield, North Carolina. I'm 6 miles, almost 7 miles to the nearest grocery store, 5 miles to the nearest gas station. Everything around me is tobacco, soybean, and peanut fields, and forests. Lots of forests. Getting a lot of 70s listed would be a very nice thing, because there are a number of dates in the 1970s that do not have their fill of credit. I can tell you one for sure. 1978D. 1978D goes for pretty decent money per roll. We're talking about $10 to $20 a roll. Yet, there are no known varieties for 1978D. No double die obverses, reverses, or repunch mint marks known in 1978D. So 78Ds are out there because they're 78Ds and because they are rather scarce to be found, and because everyone collecting a set needs one. There they are. But 78 did come out with mint sets, so mint set coins are not uncommon. It's just that rolls are difficult to find. No, Kelly, now's not the time to send coins to me. I unfortunately have such a backlog of other things that I've been working on that I wouldn't be able to get to anybody's coins anytime soon. So I would prefer that you hold them until we come back out with some form of being able to accept public attribution, so that you can send them in a package and we can officially take care of them with submission form and the whole 9 yards. That is coming someday. We will get that someday. We will have a submission form that you can fill out online. Submit the submission form so that we know that it's coming. You'd be able to pay through PayPal or pay with a check. Either way, send the coins in. Then they officially go into a log where we will examine the coins, get back with you on exactly what you have. That is something that will be eventually coming to copper coins, yet right now I have, well, no real good idea of exactly when, because we are working on so many other things. Well, $20 for what? What'd you want to send in? And coin number 43 now goes to Yo Man. I've been talking, not really saying anything about the coins, but you can see it on my other camera. That's why I have it over there. So I don't necessarily have to mention when a new person's coins come up. Yeah, attribution fees for what exactly? What did you want to send in that he wanted $20 for? Because that may not be that exorbitant an amount compared to what everyone else charges for the same thing. One single 70S. How many different coins were you going to turn in, Kelly? And for those of you who don't know, that flash, that white flash I get sometimes, is because the camera is not moving quite at the rate that the coin is moving, and it gets confused and loses all of its brain, then it immediately comes back. So it's the camera on my scope. It's not the scope. It's not the computer. 3 of the same one. So you were going to send him 3 of the same die, and you wanted him to attribute 3 of the same die, and he wanted to charge you $20 for it. Can't see what if I'm on a phone? What's too small? You talking about the names? Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about that. How about if I do this? Is any better? Can you see it now? This one's Chuck Patillo. I guess I should say them. That's kind of my job. I should take my job seriously. Yeah, because nobody else will, right? All right. Let me flip it over to the other side. We'll take a look at the other side real quick, and then we'll move on to the next coin in the row. So I have a number of coins pulled out for the 1st of January sale. Here's how it's going to go. I'm going to block them off into different hours. I'm going to show you guys a full list of all of the coins that will be coming up for auction. I'm going to block it off into hours, and we're going to have probably a 3 or 4 hour long auction. It's going to start around 1 p.m. Eastern time on New Year's Day, and we'll run through 4 or 5 o'clock. And I will be calling through it rather quickly, and every coin will start at $1. There will be a lot of coins for sale, and they'll start at $1 a piece. All right, this is Sureg. Sureg, this coin number 46. Kelly, when you turn in a number of coins, they still have to be handled all the same as one coin. So if you're going to turn in coins of the same die, you should probably turn in only one coin. Just turn in the best one you have. Because you had 3 coins, he was charging you for 3 coins plus the shipping. And I don't know what his shipping is, but he has to put it in an envelope or something and send it back to you, usually a padded envelope that will be insured, So $20 was not too much to ask for that. Your job would be to generally find enough items to do like a $50 package and have it actually count for you. But a $5 to $7 fee per coin is not too much to ask, because oftentimes, especially with more minor die varieties, we're spending between an hour and 2 hours on your coin alone. So you're paying well below minimum wage rate, and you're getting expert knowledge. And then we have no control over the charges for shipping, insurance, the packaging cost, and especially to you, international shipping fees. So I can see that it would cost quite a bit. Now, once we had the attribution service open, if you're still a customer and buying from us on a regular basis, we could still include it in your package, and the shipping wouldn't cost you anything with us. But we're still gonna charge $5 or in excess of $5 per coin just to pay for the time and the materials used in doing your attribution. I used to think that was a rip back in the day until I started doing it, and I realized how much money it was chewing up. Somebody's got to pay it. Mike Birchman, coin number 48. I'm still looking for one more example of what I thought was a double die on the top of the 4 of the date earlier in the roll, and I've not yet found one. There's only been one coin out of this roll so far that I thought might be a double die. So figure out what I'm doing wrong here. There we go. Looking at the reverse now. Yeah, I mean, everything we do takes time. I mean, this is a job of patience and time. Let me explain to you a little bit more about what we're going through so that I can get up to a point of actually doing public attribution. First thing is we need to finish the website. The website's probably going to take another 6 months to a year to finish. In addition to that, I have close to 2,000 coins here, not exaggerating. Close to 2,000 coins here that need to be photographed and added or edited in the system so that you will have the most updated photos and the most updated information from which you can work. The reason I want to do that before I ever start accepting public attributions is simply because if I already have the coin and I already have that die and photograph that die and give it to you for research information, and you can find that die, then you can save yourself the money, save me the time, and save sending things through the postal system if you find that you already have a die that I just listed. So I would prefer to go that way with it rather than have you send everything here to take up time that I would have listing other things just to find that I've already got one of those and it's sitting in my book, but I just didn't have a chance to do anything with it prior to you sending it in to me. It just saves you and me a lot of time and trouble when, ooh, look at that. Nice big old lamination strip running right through the coin. There we go. A couple of folds in the lamination. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Full-size lamination going all the way through the obverse of the coin. See what else we have here. Anything? Anything? Nope, no other lamination peel, but this lamination peel is really cool. Buckles up twice, right up at his chin. See if I can get us zoomed out enough to actually take a good look at the whole thing. There we go. Looky there. Let's see if this lamination continues over to the other side. This is coin number 50. It's the last coin in the roll, and it goes to Jim Fletcher. That's right, a shaving cut. Yeah, everything in this roll so far has turned out to point to this being just a normal roll, and unfortunately, that's what it is. Jim Fletcher got a nice little coin out of it, being that this is a very obvious lamination. But unfortunately, all but one of the coins in the roll turned out to be just a normal coin for 1954 Philadelphia, which is unfortunately a lot more common than finding anything good on them. And there they are, with the exception of lucky coin number 13. Lucky coin number 13, I'm going to pull it out again so we can take another look at it. I do believe it does have a double die on the very top of the 4 of the date. And that double die on the very top of the 4 of the date shows up in very close proximity to the primary top of the 4, which tells me that there is some chance that it could actually be some form of machine doubling. I'll have to get in and look at it really closely in 3D to get a great shot of this and figure out whether or not this is actually a double die or not. But you can see it right there in the very tippy top of the 4. I didn't see another one of those in this entire roll. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you what's going on with it for sure. But I'll tell you what, we did have a good talk. I feel really good about it. I'm sure you guys learned something one way or the other, but we've got one coin that I'm showing as a die variety out of this entire stack, and it will be a new double die obverse. That line over the 5 appeared to be a stain on the coin, but I'm going to take a better look at it with three-dimensional view a little bit later on so I can see if it actually stands out. But I did see that as well. And here what I'm going to do is go ahead and take a break. I've got 50 minutes until the next show. The next show is going to be a 1957D. 1957D roll, and this one's going to be an original Raptor roll. Fed Reserve Bank of Cleveland. That's where this one came from. And then later in the evening, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to be doing another show for roll reveal number 230. It's going to be a 1955D original BU roll. Who had the number 13? Number 13, Paul Hampton. If it was this close, I'm sure you guys could see it, right? Maybe I'll try something. Figure something out to get this picked up to the point where you can actually read that name in there. I didn't think down there you guys wouldn't be able to. I don't think about people doing this on a phone because I've never done it on a phone. I've never looked at a phone to see videos. All I've ever done with a phone is talk to people and text when I have to. Newest stacking, I have no idea. The only digital microscope I've ever used is a Dynolite scope. Number 13 was Paul Hampton. There we go. Can you let's do this. Can you read this, Donna? Even though it didn't focus. What's wrong? Why isn't it focusing? Come on. Focus. Okay, it looks like right about there is as close as I can be and get focus. Kelly says, oh, it looks like it says Kelly M. Yeah, it looks like it says Kelly M in Chinese, right? You can see I'm also starting to do my name tags in color code. And the color coding is just to help me sort these things out at the end. When I've got a big stack of them, it's a lot harder to sort them out and figure out what I've got. It's much easier when I have colors representing the different people. So I'm going to try something else. It may not be today. It may be another day that I actually get it tried out, but I am going to try to do something that'll move my camera closer to the desk during the reveals. That way you guys can see more better. Oh, I understand, Donna. And when you're home, you use a regular screen, right? Well, I've got another one coming up in, what is it, about 48 minutes. About 48 minutes from now, I'll be starting back up with another reveal for your viewing pleasure. I appreciate it, folks. You guys have a great afternoon. For those of you who will be returning, I'll see you then. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. And be safe. Talk to you later.